Well, look, not to be left behind, we're now going to get to a real expert on, I think, eco-challenges right here in downtown Toronto. Somebody who can work his way through the rough and rocky roads we have here in the life insurance industry. I'm, of course, speaking about David Brown, CFP, CLU, CHFC, CHSTEP. He's a partner at L.G. Brown and Associates. His father, who is still out there, a great guy in Toronto. David Brown has been in the life insurance industry since 1974 and has been awarded the National Quality Award every year since 1985. David has been a member of the $1 Million Round Table, top of the table, for the past 23 years. He has written and spoken extensensively on succession, financial and retirement planning, charitable giving, insurance, employee benefits, and practice management. He's a former member, a member of the National Board of Canadian Association of Gift Planners. His professional associations include the Canadian Tax Foundation, the Conference of Advanced Life Underwriters, and a member of the Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners of Canada. But don't worry, he's not going to be talking about that. Instead, now please welcome Mr. David Brown and 18 tips to get to the top. Please welcome David Brown.
Thank you. I want just 37 seconds, please. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Canada. So about in April 1980, I was sitting out there where you're sitting, and I was listening to other people within our industry speaking about their practices and what they do in order to sell life insurance and their techniques that they were using in their offices. And I thought to myself, one day it would be really cool to be up on the stage to be speaking to some of my peers about the stuff that we do. So I'd like to thank Jim and the organizers of the Congress who have invited me today to speak. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 18 tips that we use within our firm in order to practice management and in order to deal with insurance. And these 18 tips, among them are the 18 tips that I've used in order to qualify for top of the table every year. It's actually for the past 26 years. And I'm sure that they are transferable. They're simple. You can put them in place starting tomorrow in your offices. So I'm not going to go through the whole list at this point. I'm going to go through the list individually. So there's been a lot of talk about the graying of the financial planning industry, that all of us are getting older. There is an incredible silver lining to this. The silver lining is that there is a lot of really good people out there who know a lot of stuff, who have been doing this for a long time, who have great experience. And I would encourage each and every one of you who doesn't have a mentor to adopt a mentor. Now, I was very lucky because my mentor is my dad, who started in the industry in the mid-1940s, excuse me, and he's been through about every life insurance experience that there is possible to be through. So he's a great guy to call and to talk and to ask about what to do under certain circumstances. He taught me all about honesty, integrity, empathy, respect, reputation, knowledge, and community. But the most critical pieces he taught me that we need to make sure that our clients trust us through everything that we do and how we speak to them and what we show them. And so tip number one is to go out and to try to find yourselves a mentor. 25 years ago, I was working 6 days a week. I was working 12 hours a day. I was doing about as much as I could, and I was running out of steam. I wasn't seeing my family very much, and I reached what some people call the ceiling of complexity. There was just too much to do, not enough time to do it within. And so what I did is I went out and I hired a coach. So, you know, the definition of a coach isn't an individual who does things for you. It's an individual who helps you find your path, find your way. And so my coach, who I hired 25 years ago and who I have seen now every 90 days for the past 25 years, has helped me focus. And although I have given him hundreds of thousands of dollars, he has earned for me millions of dollars. And we still see each other every 90 days and we talk. What he's done for me is that he's created focus. He's helped me identify what my unique ability is, what I do best above anything else. He's given me confidence. He's taught me how to run a business, to be an entrepreneur. He's taught me about accountability to my clients, to my family, to my staff. Taught me about teamwork and professionalism. Now, back in 25 years ago, there wasn't a lot of coaches in the industry, and these coaches would coach everybody. Today, we're really, really lucky because there's a lot of very specific coaches in our industry that really know the score and can really help out. And so if you're going to spend any money on anything, At this point in time, I believe that going out, seeking a really good coach to work with is really one of the major goals that you should put into your minds. Know your unique ability. So we can all do a whole bunch of things. I can do a lot of stuff really badly. I can do a lot of stuff sort of okay. I can do a lot of stuff well, and then I can do something that's really, really good. And what I try to do is I focus, and my firm tries to focus me on doing the one thing that I do really well. And this is what it is. My unique ability is to take complex estate and financial concepts and strategies and make them understandable to our prospects and clients. And if my office can get me to do that day in, day out, just to be in front of clients, then all of us, A, will earn a lot of money, and B, all of us will be doing a good job. Because I'm not good doing anything else. This is the one thing that I do really, really, really well. And so if each of you identify what your unique ability is and try to focus on that unique ability, you'll be able to give all of the other stuff that you do to other people who have unique abilities in other areas. So how do you find out your unique ability? You ask people. You go out, you talk to your friends, you talk to your family, you say to them, look, what do you think that I do best? What is the best thing that you think that I can do? And they'll tell you. And that turns out to be your unique ability. And if you're fortunate enough, as I am, to do that 80% of a day, then it will help very much in your success as long as you have created a team around you that also has unique ability. There's a lot of us out there. We can look around, a lot of people in the life insurance industry. What you want to try to do in the industry is to brand your process. You want to try to make yourself unique. So about 15 or 20 years ago, what we did is we came up with a process, and it's called the estate preservation process. The goal of that process is to protect and preserve your estate and to create an everlasting legacy. All of you do that day in and day out. The difference between our operation Pretence and your operation is that we happen to have branded it and trademarked it. And so we have what's called the estate preservation process. And when someone bumps into me and says, what do you do? I say, well, we have a particular process that's called the estate preservation process. It wasn't easy to start saying it that way, but we've gotten it down pat. And they say, well, that's interesting. What is that process? And I say, well, that process protects and preserves your estate and creates an everlasting legacy. And the next question is, oh, that's interesting. How do you do that? And the answer to that question is, well, I can't really tell you that at this particular point in time because it requires a 5 or 10 minute conversation. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to arrange from Anna from my office to call you in order to have that conversation to see whether you're eligible to participate in the estate preservation process, because it actually is not for everyone. And we don't want to use your time unproductively, and we don't want to use our time unproductively. So let's take 5 or 10 minutes on the telephone. We always try to schedule a telephone conversation with a prospect, with someone who's interested in the estate preservation process before they come into the office. And 90% of my clients come into the office. It takes a lot of time to entertain people in an office. You don't want to do that with someone who is not really interested in the process. Mission statement. So the mission statement is an important piece of our operation. We want people to know what we do and what our goals are. So our mission statement is the following. It's to provide client-centered solutions based on the principles of honesty, commitment, and quality client service. So if we have an accountant or a lawyer who's referring someone to us, or if we have a client who wants to know what we do, we say, well, this is what we do. We have the estate preservation process. The goal of that process is to protect and preserve an estate and to create a legacy. And we do it by providing client-centered solutions based on the principles of honesty, commitment, quality, client service. And that's our speech to them. Invest in yourself. So this is a very important piece of the tips that we have at this point. We believe very strongly that we have to invest in our continuing education. We believe very strongly that we have to invest in our continuing associations. We are members of Advocates, CLU, MDRT, Top of the Table MDRT, the Canadian Tax Foundation. I'm on the board of directors of KLU, STEP, the Institute. You must always be doing something in order to be developing your career and investing in your career. So one of the very large tips I feel is that you always have to be on the line to be growth. Growth is very, very critical in the industry. Invest in your business. So we invest a lot in our business. Currently, right now, we're investing in our social network platform. When they brought this when our IT department came up to us and said, you need to invest in the social network platform. I said, you know, I understand each one of those words independently. I know what social means, I know what network needs, and I know what platform means. So, you know, but I have no idea what it is when you put them all together. So they said, don't worry, we'll put them together. We just want to know that you want to invest in it. And so, you know, I'm a sales guy, so it's easy to sell to me. I said, fine. So we invested in our social network platform. We now have a new website. We now have 2 companies that monitor if anyone comes to our website. We now have a company that does our LinkedIn and measures how many people visit us. I believe that this is where it's going at this particular point in time. And so we invest a lot in the company, and this year's investment is in technology. Now, we also have newsletters. We have an author that writes our newsletters that goes out to people. I like the print. Everybody else likes the stuff on the computer. But we need to balance both because we work with a multi-generational client base. Report your activity. So I love this one. I believe that people are always active. I mean, you're active all day long. You could be active, you know, having a snack. You could be active getting a glass of water. But the thing is that you want to report your activity. So this is my friend Anna. Anna works in our office, and she is our project manager. At the end of every day, and several times during the course of the day, I report to Anna my activity. So here's how a project manager works. Anna does not actually do the work in the office. Anna is designated a project, and Anna makes sure that that project gets done by the members of the team that needs to do that work. And so she makes sure that it moves from one person to the next person to the next person and controls the flow of work within the operation. Now, I happen to also be one of Anna's projects. And I'm a tough project because I'm sort of like a cat, you know, trying to train a cat. Because you never know where I'm going to be and who I'm going to be speaking to. So in the morning when I come into the office, on the whiteboard, Anna writes down all of my activities. Now, I don't know what I'm doing that day until I get into my office at around 9:30 or 10. And she says, here, you're doing this at this point, this at this point, this is this point, you're calling this person. Here's all of your activity for the day. And every so often, she'll come in and check on me and say, what have you done and what is left to be done? Because if you don't get what's done by the end of the day, we're going to have to move it tomorrow. And there's a whole list of things that you're going to get to do tomorrow, and you're not going to be able to keep up with it. So basically, I report to Anna in my office, and I have to tell you, it's not a pretty sight if I don't accomplish what I'm supposed to accomplish by the end of the day. So I believe that it's important for you to have someone to report to as to where you are daily in your goals for the day. Create a pipeline. So this is our food chain. We have a pipeline that's of 9 steps, and it basically comes from suspect all the way to settle the contract. And at any point in time within the pipeline, in any one of those segments, there's a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen people. And those people may be in first appointment, second appointment, they may be in pending, they may be waiting for an application. And basically what we do is once every 2 weeks, the team sits down and goes through the pipeline and looks at where everybody is within the pipeline, and we decide which person we're going to move from one section of the pipeline to the next section of the pipeline. Now, that may be decided on the basis of if a person is on vacation. We may decide it on the basis of we think we've got someone who's going to make a decision quicker than another decision. We may have it on the basis of the fact that we're going to a party and we know we're going to be bumping into that person there. And we have a couple of hour discussion that looks at the pipeline and says, okay, this person is being ready to move to the next segment of the pipeline. It provides a path for us to travel along throughout the year, and it also gives us a good indication of what type of productivity we're looking at a snapshot and what we think that we can anticipate over the next quarter. So it's a food chain. We have them in 3 departments, in the life insurance department, in the group health and welfare department that we have, and in the retirement planning department. Set your goals. So number 10, of course, you always have to have goals. I set my goals every 90 days. I sit down every 90 days, figure out what I did in the last 90 days, project what I want to do in the next 90 days. We set up calls, appointments, presentations, sales. I don't set up any of the calls. Anna sets up all of the calls. I don't do most of the presentation. Relia does most of the presentation. We sit down and we sit together, and they're all in that pipeline, and they all know what job has to get done at any particular point in time. Build your team. So you probably now have recognized that there's a team involved in this group. Now, we've got 3 producers and 15 support people. So it is a very heavily weighted towards the support end, and it's important to build a team around you if you want to operate in this particular way. So we have teams, and you can see a schematic of the team. It's a strategic marketing team, client welcoming team, the advisor, risk management, investment management, group management. Each one of these teams has a different job within the operation. Each one of these teams have 3 people within the team. And they specifically deal with one particular area of the operation and in usually one particular area within the team of what they work within. So there's about 15 people that make up the team there. The client welcoming team, just to give you a quick example, is a team that works with specifically how to welcome the client within the first 5 minutes that they come into our office. Most of our clients come into our office with their accountants and their lawyers. We want to make sure that within the first 5 minutes that they come in, they're really, 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 really happy. We want to serve them a lot of food. We want to make them feel very comfortable. We want to greet them. My sister goes out and particularly greets them, introduces the firm, tells them a little bit about us. We give them the compliance and the privacy form. Someone else comes out and shows them the menu and says, what would you like? And we make them feel very, very comfortable. That's our group. That's in the office. And I won't take the time to point out everybody, but that's our team. Reward your associates. So our team works on a basis that they are all entrepreneurs. From our receptionists to the accountants that are in the office, everyone is an entrepreneur in the company, and that's reflected through our profit sharing plan. We have an in-depth profit sharing plan for every single member of our operation, from the receptionist to the accountants, and they can earn a significant amount of money through the profit sharing plan. And it's a measurable profit sharing plan, so they know where they are from time to time. We have a 4-day work week. Back about 15 years ago, we decided to reduce the work week from 5 days to 4 days, 9 to 5, 4 days a week. Each member gets an additional day off. Within a team of 3 people, there always has to be one member of the team around, but you may want to take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. 4 days a week, that's the deal. Contests, we have contests in the office. This is Lena, who just won Barney the Bear. Barney the Bear is awarded to an associate or to a support person every 90 days if they have come up with a method to make us more efficient and effective. It's not making more dollar bills, it's making us more efficient and effective. So if Lena comes up with, she's in our underwriting department, comes up with an idea that is more efficient and effective, we all vote. She gets Barney the Bear to sit on her desk for 90 days, and she gets a monetary gift as well. We have annual lunches, we have periodic lunches. All of the insurance companies know not to invite me out for lunch. Basically, if they want to do something, we invite the insurance companies into the office. They bring in food for the office for the entire teams, and we sit and we get to meet each other people's on their team. Develop the agenda habit. Okay, I do not run a meeting without an agenda. I won't have a meeting with staff, I won't have a meeting with clients without a written formal agenda. This is the agenda that we use when it's a new person that comes in. In some cases, we send the agenda out before the appointment and say, here's the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. Could you tell us on this agenda whether there are some things that are more important to you than not? Because this is your meeting, it's not our meeting. And we want to talk about the stuff that you want to talk about. And I'm going to tell you a secret, because we're in a room of life insurance people, that 90% of the time, people, and it's a long agenda, financial planning, everything out there in the world, 90% of the time people say, I really want to talk about my life insurance. Because it's very rare that I've had the opportunity to actually talk about it. It's normally been talked to me. So I would believe that this agenda is one of the most critical pieces that we do within our operation. It keeps us on track, and it keeps the meetings on track. Memos. So let me ask you a question. How many of you, by raise of hand, send out a memo to their clients after the meeting? Okay, so that's a good representation. I think we'd like to get the rest of the hands up. We send out memos to all of our clients after all of the meetings, telephone meetings, or meetings that we have in the office. We ask them for permission to send them to their accountants and their lawyers, and to call their accountants and their lawyers afterwards and to discuss the memo. We work right from the beginning to get the accountants and lawyers on our side. We don't want them to be surprised. We want them to be our friends. Back 30 years ago at Life Insurance 101, it was don't talk to the accountants and don't talk to the lawyers because they're going to mess up the sale. Now what we do is right from the get-go, we send out the memos to the accountants and the lawyers so they are completely on track with us. Enjoy your work. So Rob Crowder, somewhere in the audience, he had a contest dealing with Canada Day. So we did a Canada Day picture and we won, which was very nice. And we want to make sure that the people in our office who work very hard actually enjoy their work and have a very good time. Create an experience. When someone comes into our office, we want them to have an experience. We ask them what they want to drink. We touch our clients 8 times a year. We call them on their birthdays. We send them New Year's cards. We send them anniversaries. When it's their anniversary of Universal Life contracts, we do spontaneous gifts. We touch the client 8 times during the course of the year, one way or another. This is one of a setup at the table for a group meeting. Be a whole person. So business and work life, family life and home, friends and relationships, all of this makes up being a whole person. This is a very, 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 very tough industry. And you really need to be able to balance the industry in order to be successful with your family life, with your home life, with your ethic life, and with your spiritual life. And it's a job. And so we have to always remember the whole person concept. This is a picture of my family that I wanted to throw in because some of them are watching and some of them are here. And they really help me remember what is important. This is our staff, community involvement. Everyone is involved in one way or another in a community issue. Remember the basics. So this is the last point, and this is probably the most important point. The basics are why do we sell and what do we sell? So we sell family protection, security, continuity, legacy, stability, perpetuity, peace of mind. There's nothing that talks about money, really. It's really peace of mind. This is the basics. So this is Ben Feldman, and he always said, remember the basics. So what I'm going to do now, in the last 15 seconds, I'm going to ask you all to rise. You have to do it quickly, because I'm going to get pulled off the stage. I want you to take your right hand and put your right hand in your pocket, or where you keep your wallet. And I want you to take your left hand and put it on your forehead. I won't take pictures of you now, okay? Then I want you to move this hand to your heart. And I want you to consider the difference between your head in your pocketbook and your heart in your pocketbook. And remember that when you are sitting in front of a client and you are talking to a client, that you're actually talking to their heart, that you're not talking to their head. And if you remember that, I believe that you will be very successful in your experience and in your business. So thank you very much. I'm now taking a picture of all of you pledging allegiance to Donald Trump. So thank you. There you go.
Thank you very much. Well, there you go. David Brown, please thank him one more time. David, thank you. You know what I love? I love listening to the sort of the wisdom of the ages when you get a guy like David speaking to you. You just learn things you wouldn't realize, and sometimes I think we forget. You see the picture of him today, but you wonder about how it was in the day. You know, here's a guy who paid his dues with those 12-hour days in the day, finally realized he needed a coach. And remember that idea that a coach can help you focus, and that's such a big deal. And you can see David has that laser focus that makes such a difference so that he can do what he does well and do it more often. That's really that deal with that named process. What I like, the named process is something we've heard about. What I think is really intriguing by what you said, David, is not just the process. You really have a system in the office to make people feel welcome. The whole system in the office and outside and reaching out to his clients. What an extraordinary thing. He's invested in himself in this industry and has been a contributor for a very long time. And I love the idea, you know, sometimes we go into the independent business so that we can hide from managers, and finally David had to hire one so he could report to it. And I think that's, you know, he hired a project manager. He calls it a project manager. But what he really means is he hired a manager. I have one at home, and she's will tell me what to do later when I get back. And I think the idea of 90-day goals is cool too, as a reminder for all of us. It's not just the big picture, it can also be that 90-day thing. You can see what you can accomplish in 90 days and you can make that happen. And you also realize it has to happen soon, 4-day work weeks. The idea of agendas was also interesting to me, but not for just the idea of the agenda, the idea of checking to see whether this agenda makes sense to you as I send that out. Man, that was the interesting piece there as far as I go. And here's a guy who uses accountants and lawyers to put them on his side to make that work best. I really thought that was outstanding. You know, this is where we've been saying this for years now. Whole life matters. And really, that's what you were saying. It's your whole life, not the product, but it's your whole life, that whole person thing. And finally, we know that David is brilliant because of the basics. And I think what you saw there in those 18 points are brilliant basics that make a big difference. So one more time, Mr. David William Brown. We are honored. Thank you.